Hi everyone. Decided as a lawyer who mostly deals with land matters to share lessons that you can learn from the Mavoko and the Kirima land saga. I think everyone has, so far as at now, I think everyone has heard about all those, the two sagas. So I want us to draw some lessons from it that you can learn from it. So the first lesson you should learn is, well, purchasing land. The first thing that you should do is always do a historical search. What this basically means, ensure you visit the land that you intend to buy. Because, of course, the first thing that you will do is identify the land you intend to buy. So let's just say you have identified land. Let's say when in that Mavoko. So the first thing, you should go and visit that land. Then inquire. Talk. I normally tell my clients, that's why the moment when you give me a call, that when I receive a call or I get a client in the office who wants to purchase land, the first thing I ask is whether they have done a land visit. Because that stage is very important. Even before you start spending your money doing the search on the property, that's the first thing you should do. So when you visit that land, talk to the village elders, talk to the chief, talk to the neighbors, just find out, just do a little investigation, find out if there's anything with that, anything, any scandal, anything in regards to that property, if there's any case in court. Unfortunately, when there's a case in court, when you do the search at the land registry, you're not guaranteed that you'll get, unless a caution was placed, an order was put for a caution to be placed, the land not to be, an injunction was put and it was placed on the land. But normally, in most instances, when you do a search, you won't know there's an ongoing case. Because remember, the cases that are put at Kenya Law Report that you can search are cases that have already been determined. So when the case is ongoing, unless you get prior information, you won't know. So I'm even so sure that many people bought land in both Mavoko and the Kirima, the Njiru, that area where the Kirima land property is. I'm sure there are people who bought, because those properties, they took many years in court. I'm sure there are people who bought land when there was still a court case. So that's why that going to talk to people there is very important. And any red flag, please don't ignore. I normally tell my class, even just a simple thing as, if familia hapa wanakuanga na issues, familia kwa hii, because of this land wako na issues, trust me, most of the time the neighbors will know if that land has a case in court. They'll have that information. So that's why that is important. The one for, and don't ignore, they have said don't ignore any red flags. The one for Mavoko, apparently is East African Portland Cement. They had put even a poster in 2016, apparently warning people not to purchase that property. Please never ignore. And then there's now this mistake that people now assume. The moment when I was looking at those news, people now assume that, because I've developed, like, ukiingia shamba, develop haraka, jenga nyumba, fanya kile. When you develop it, there's no way you'll be removed from that property. That's like a straight lie. Because normally, for instance, let me give you an example, like this building that I'm in. If there's a dispute over the land that this building has been erected on, court will not ask who's the owner of that building. It will be, they'll search who's the owner of the land that this building has been erected on. That's the question that the court is going to ask, and then a search will be done. And the moment the owner of the land is determined by court will issue an eviction to anyone who is not that owner. An eviction order will be issued. So just don't assume that if you have developed a property, you cannot be evicted. It doesn't matter how much money you've spent in that property. It doesn't matter the story behind it. Court will always look at the owner of the land. So that but it looks like a tiny thing, like you find even people don't find it as important, like going to ask those. It's very important. For us, I remember there's a time a client of ours was purchasing land, and our client wasn't in Kenya, so we were not doing the due diligence. So when we went there, we asked the neighbors, what is the issue with this land? And they told us that there's a case. Iko na kesi, imeshinda iko na makesi kotini. And then on doing research about the case in court, because it was an ongoing case, but of course we found a way of getting our hands on that case, on the details of the case. There were two people claiming ownership in that land. Two people were claiming ownership. And both of them had title deeds. So court had to. So the what court was supposed to determine is who actually is the original owner of that land. And whenever, let me tell you why you can't purchase any property that is in court. Because normally an injunction is put for status quo to remain before court makes a decision. So even for both lands, for even then for Kirima, court had put a status quo. First, no one is supposed to do any construction. No one is supposed to sell that land or sell the property as court is making a determination. So that's why even the moment you purchase land, when it's a land that has a case in court, you're even going at court. It's a contempt of court order. So that's why it's so important. Asking those questions, it's very important, because even sometimes, because when you're buying land, you're supposed to buy it also when it's vacant. That's why anytime you go, even when you're going to purchase land and you find it has, like, I remember there's a client of ours, she was purchasing land in Meru. Then on the physical visit, she called me and told me, "Eh, the land has," I know people don't find it as something serious, because even when clients, I normally notice when clients tell you, they tell you as a by the way. They tell you, because I just ask them, is there vacant possession? Like, is there anything on the property? Any structure, even a coffee plantation, even any plantation, that's not vacant. It means that property is occupied. So she told me that there's a temporary structure, nyumba ya mabati, where an old man has been here for like almost 40 years, but the seller is assuring me that they'll just pay him some money and he will vacate. Trust me, that's another, you can't purchase that property, because now this person has stayed there for 40 years. You don't know what this person can even go and claim adverse possession. So it's risky. It will be risky for you as a buyer. So that's why that physical visit and inquiring, talk to the neighbors, that will help you a lot, because that's where you'll get most information. And again, don't ignore any red flag. People normally ignore. Like, that's why you find some people by there, they'll actually tell you. When I was following the both sagas from Mavoko and the Kirima, and some will actually state that it was common knowledge. Some were saying that it was actually common knowledge that this property, like, yeah, maybe they didn't know who the original owner was, but they knew this property. That's another one was saying that ilikuwa ya wazungu, something like that. So people normally stay in the comfort of this proper, like, I've stayed here for many years, there's no way court is going. No, court will always give the land to the owner. So make sure every time when you're purchasing land, do that. It's a simple thing, but it's simple, but it will help you a lot. But don't ignore any red flags. That's, I think, the biggest lesson we can take from this.